Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Everybody's all about elderberries, but before you can have berries, you have to have flowers. Hi, my name's Corinne, and here at Spirea, I share videos that weave together plant wisdom, holistic health, self-sufficiency with just a dash of magic. If this sounds interesting to you, I'd love for you to stick around. So today I want to talk to you about elderflower medicine and some of the benefits that working with the flower can provide and some of its medicinal properties. I also want to draw attention to how to identify elder in the wild, because right now anything to do with white flowers is kind of causing people to freak out for good reason. Poison hemlock species is really exploding all over North America. If you haven't seen my video on how to distinguish between Queen Anne's lace and poison hemlock, I'm going to link that up here. It's a pretty popular video and it will give you an idea of what you're looking for. How to not mix up the two most popular or common species that sort of look the same. But I want to draw your attention first. Let's see if we can find a good leaf. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at the elder leaf. Now this is actually technically all one leaf with 7 leaflets that are divided into it. Okay, so you're going to see this. You're also, excuse me buddy, you're also going to see, and see if I can get my husband to get in close here, that the leaves are what we call opposite. They grow opposite each other up the stem. Now this one here, you can already, I'm going to get you to zoom in again, you can already see that there are berries starting to form. So it was in flower, like this one here. It's been pollinated and now the berries will form. And so what happens is these will fill with these beautiful black berries because we're growing Sambucus canadensis, which is Canada or American elder. And these berries will get really heavy and this cluster will actually start to droop and the berries will hang down. But right now it just looks like a white flower, especially if you're driving by it in a ditch or the side of the road. They tend to like being near water, so you'll often see them in like city culverts or drain areas. You know, that white flower might look a little intimidating, so making sure that we check for that leaf pattern. And of course there are other species of elders, so make sure that you do your research, because what grows native in your area may not be the same as what grows in mine. So when you harvest elder flowers, you can actually just come in and cut kind of right here, right? You're going to take the flowering portion, and then when you get inside, you're going to use your scissors to snip away as many of the stems as possible. Now this one is just slightly past peak harvesting time. You can see that some of the flowers are already starting to die and it's pretty pollinated. What you want to see are some closed flowers around the edge ideally, and one starting to open in the middle. It's because we want this near the beginning of its flowering period. Now if I were to do something like infuse this in oil, because elderflowers are fantastic for the skin. They make really great salves, whipped body butters. I really like to use it in face oil because it does have some anti-aging properties and it's really protective of the skin. If I were to infuse it in oil for something like that, I would have no problem taking one of these. But for tincture, I would like to have it a little bit earlier in its flowering season. Are you ready to take your herbal learning to the next level? To dive into the world of plant-based wisdom and to walk the path of a plant worker? If you are, I invite you to check out Weavers of Plant Wisdom, which is my new monthly membership platform where we explore all topics plants. I hope to see you there. So much like elderberries, one of the great areas where elderflower shines is with upper respiratory conditions, anything characterized by viral load and anywhere where you would require an immune stimulant. So elders are excellent when it comes to things like cold, sinus infections. Because it's a great anti-allergenic, it's also really great for seasonal allergies, and it tastes really nice, so it's excellent for young children. It really helps support fever as well. So any conditions that are characterized by fevers, so any of your cold, flu, regular type things like that, even conditions like bronchitis and measles, of course, knowing how to treat that, and of course, contacting your natural health practitioner of choice if you so choose. So you can see that the flowers have very similar medicinal properties to the berries. Another areas where the flowers shine is it does have some nervine support. So it's pretty good for things like general stress related conditions, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily excellent for anxiety and depression, but if you've got someone who maybe has more of a weaker immune system that tends to be sort of stressed out all the time and just deals with a lot of that type of emotional load, it would be a great plant to work with. It also has some diuretic properties and some anti-rheumatic properties. On its own, I wouldn't say that it would be well-rounded enough to be a detoxifying plant or a depurative plant, but when combined with other plants that support the liver and the lymphatic system and boast more of that depurative property, it would be really great. But because it's a diuretic, you're also going to get some support for any of your urinary tract inflammatory type conditions. As with all my videos like this, of course, you always want to consult a natural health practitioner of choice, and nothing in this video should be interpreted as medical advice or treatment of any conditions at all. Now, my videos wouldn't be complete without talking about any contraindications or toxicity. So for the flowers, there's actually no toxicity associated whatsoever. There are cyanogenic glycosides in the stem, the bark, and the unripened berries. That's the reason why we have to cook elderberries first before we make them into anything like a syrup or that sort of thing, or dehydrate them or dry them. That helps to remove any of that toxicity, but it's really only concentrated, as I said, in the stems, the bark, and unripened berries. Now, because it does have some effect on the nervous system, we always want to be cautious when we're combining it with medications that do the same thing. We've talked about this before in other videos. So if you're on any sedative, mood-altering medications of any kind, you want to kind of just have a bit of caution with it. And of course, if you are on immunosuppressant medication of any kind, folks who've had organ transplants of any kind, you don't want to be taking an immune stimulant. So there you have it, folks. You've got a bit of information on elderflower. Now, what's really cool is if you don't really want to work with the flowers, you don't have to. Every one of these flowering clusters, and my goodness, do we have so many on our property. We haven't even shown you the ones in the front. These are actually pretty small. These elders here, they're only, I think, 2 or 3 years old. We have some other ones that are closer to 5 years old, and they're much larger. But every one of these flowering clusters is going to form a cluster of berries. Now, the trick with harvesting elderberries, of course, is to get at them before the birds do. And you have to make sure they're ripe. Resist the urge to get any of those green berries. Remember, I talked about that toxicity before. I have some great videos on elderberry type products, making syrup, gummies, so I'll make sure I'll link those for you guys as well. If you have any questions about elderflower, elderberries, or anything to do with elder, you can leave those in the comments below. And until next time, this is Corinne from Spirea Herbs, wishing you health and wellness.